Unit 9, Lesson 3. We are on the volume of solids. So what are we've talked for the last couple weeks about surface area, and there's 5 different shapes that we talk about when we talk about surface area. The 5 shapes are a prism, a cylinder, a pyramid, a cone, and a sphere. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what are the volumes of all 5 of those shapes. So let's take a look. The first one we're going to look at is a prism. And just like before, our prism has a base, a height, and these are our lateral edges, which are here in the front, okay? Now the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. And all other prisms are the volume is the area of the base times height. So if you remember, that's just the second part of your surface area, which is area of the base times our height. So we're taking now the area of our base and we're multiplying that times our height. So let's go and let's look down. Let's look at example 1. Example 1 says, find the volume of the right prism. So what we're looking for is we're looking for length times width times height, which is just the area of the base times our height. So the area of our base, we have 4, we have 5, and then the length of our entire prism is 10. So the area of our base is 4 times 5, which gives us 20, and then our height is 10. So we multiply 20 times 10, and the volume of my prism is 200. Now let's look B. Let's look at our triangle. Now remember, the height of our, the volume of our prism is area of base times height. So the area of a base, we have to pull our base out just like we do a surface area. So we're going to pull our base out, and we've got our height is 6 millimeters and our base is 2.5. And the formula for the area of a base of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, just like what I put up here. So 1/2 base times height. My base is 2.5 and my height is 6. So 1/2 2.5 times 6. And 1/2 of 15 is 7.5. And then we need to know what's the height of our entire figure. The height of our entire figure is 3. So the height is 3, so we have our area of our base times our height, so we have 7.5 times 3, which gives us 22.5. All right. So that's our prism. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our cylinder. Our cylinder is also, the volume is also the area of the base times height. Now, look at a cylinder. The base of a cylinder is our circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So our volume is pi r squared times height. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Now, the volume of a cylinder is the area of the base times the height. The area of the base of a cylinder is a circle, so it's pi r squared times height. So let's look at our cylinder. Our cylinder, we've got our radius is 8 inches and the height of our entire cylinder is 6. So the volume is pi radius squared times height. So pi, the radius is 8, so 8 squared times height. So the volume is pi, 8 squared is 64. So 64 times 6, and our volume is 384 pi inches cubed. Let's look at example B. Example B, the volume of our cylinder is pi radius squared times height. Now, the radius is 4, so our volume is pi, radius is 4, so 4 squared times our height. 4 squared is 16, so the volume is pi, radius, which is 16, times 13. So our volume is 16 times 13, which gives us 208 pi feet cubed. Now let's look at a cone. So the volume for a cone is also the same thing. It's the area of our base times our height. So the area of our base, look at a cone. The area of a cone, the base is a circle. So that's pi r squared times height. However, in a cone is actually 1/3 of a cylinder. So we have to add that 1/3. So look at our sides here. It actually cuts off a couple of our lateral bases. So it's 1/3 of our cylinder. And our cylinder is pi r squared times height. So we have to add the 1/3 in front of our cone. So we still have the base times our height, and our base is pi r squared times height, but the cone is 1/3, so we have to add the 1/3. So let's look at an example. So here our cone, we've got 1/3 pi radius squared times height, okay? So we gotta first find what's our radius and what's our height. So our radius is 12 and our height is 17. So the volume is 1/3 pi times our radius, which is 12 squared, times our height, which is 17. So I went ahead and I put my 1/3, and then 12 squared is 144. So I went ahead and I multiplied 144 by 17, and I got 2,448 pi. Now, 1/3 is a fraction, so I want to make 2,448 a fraction as well. So volume is 1/3 times 2,448 all over 1, pi. So 1 times 2,448 is 2,448 divided by 3. So 3 divided by 2,448 is 816. So my volume is 816 pi millimeters cubed. Okay. All right, now let's look at our second example. Our second example here, again, we have our cone, and our volume is the area of our base times our height, and the area of our base is a circle, so that's pi radius squared times height, and a cone is 1/3 of a cylinder, so we have to add our 1/3 in front. Okay, so we want to know what's our radius and what is our height. Our radius is 6 and our height is 10. So volume is 1/3 pi radius squared times our height, and our radius is 6. So I went ahead and I did 6 squared, which is 36 times 10 pi. So our volume is 1/3, and 36 times 10 is 360, and I put that over 1, so I have a fraction. And 1 times 360 is 360 divided by 3, and I have to add my pi. So our volume is 3 divided by 360, which is 120 pi meters cubed. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's review. So for our prism, our cylinder, and our cone, our volume is the area of our base times our height. So for a prism, we have base times height. For a cylinder, our base is a circle, so we have pi r squared times height. And for a cone, it's the same thing. Our base is a circle, so the area of a circle is pi radius squared times our height, and then a cone is 1/3 of a cylinder, so we have to add that third in front when we're talking about a cone, okay? Now we're going to look at a sphere. A sphere, we have pi radius cubed, so the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi radius cubed. So this one's a little bit more challenging to remember. So my suggestion is you write this formula 10 times each. Make sure you know what the volume of a sphere is, okay? So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi radius cubed. The only thing you need in a sphere is your radius. So let's look at example A. Our radius is 2. So our volume is 4 cubed pi times radius cubed, and that's 2 cubed. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So our volume is 4/3 times 8 over 1 cubed. So 8 times 4 is 32 divided by 3 pi inches cubed. 3 doesn't go into 32, so and it's already simplified, so you're going to have to leave it as volume is 32 over 3 pi inches cubed. Let's look at example B. So again, our formula for a sphere is 4/3 pi radius cubed. The only thing we're looking for is our radius. So in example B, our radius is 4. So the volume is 4/3 4 cubed times pi. Our 4 cubed is 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. So 4/3 times 64 over 1 times pi. 64 times 4 is 256 over 3. So 3 does not go into 256, so we have the volume is 256 divided by 3 pi inches cubed, and that is the volume of our sphere. And last we have a pyramid. So our pyramid, just like our cone, it's 1/3 base times height. So again, our pyramid is 1/3 of our prism. So just remember, our volume of our pyramid is base times height, and it's 1/3. So let's look at an example. Our volume is 1/3 base times height. So this is our example. This is our pyramid. So the area of my base is base times height. So the base down here, if you look, we have 3, 3, 3, and 3. It's a square. So my base is base times height, which is 3 times 3, which gives you 9. And then we need the height of my entire figure. The height of my entire figure is 5. So it's 1/3 base times height. So my base is 9, the area of my base is 9, the height of my entire figure is 5, and I also have to multiply that by 1/3. So 9 times 5 is 45 divided by 3. 3 divided by 45 is 15. So the volume of my pyramid is 15 centimeters cubed. All right. Those are your 5 volumes for all 5 figures. Now, they're not that hard to remember. However, you really need to make sure that you know that a pyramid is 1/3 of your prism and a cone is 1/3 of your cylinder. The only one that you need to remember that's more difficult is your sphere. And your sphere is the volume is 4/3 pi radius cubed.